I am so excited for today's episode because what we are going to be talking about today impacts all of us, not just women, although I think every single woman listening to this will relate, but also men too. We're going to be talking about how to love your body and what you need to do to feel your best every single day. I have got some incredible research and data and tools to share with you. And also going to be getting a little bit personal, as I always do in these episodes. But before we dive in, I am so excited to invite you to the Get Organized for Good workshop. Yes, you heard that right. You're listening to the Get Organized for Good podcast. And actually, my most popular and well-attended workshop of all time is my Get Organized for Good workshop. Thousands of people have come to it. It's totally free. And I'm actually going to be holding 2 of them so that I can hopefully accommodate your schedule on May 20th in the evening and on May 21st in the afternoon. I'm going to be holding these workshops. All of the information to register is at gridandglam.com/workshop. It's totally free to attend. And if you have been loving all of the content that I've been sharing in the podcasts, this is an opportunity to dive deeper into it. And my most favorite part of the workshops is the Q&A that we do at the end. So if you have burning questions that you've had on any of the episodes, in particular about my 4-step process and how you can use it to really build this life that you love, come on to the workshop. Register at gridandglam.com/workshop. I'll also put that in the show notes and come hang out with me. It's going to be super fun. All right, so let's dive in. You know by now that my motto is you're too hot to be a hot mess, because you are. And how fun does it feel to embody being hot? And now that you're in my world, this is your motto too. I want you to feel sexy and lit up and desirable. And I also want you to feel healthy and vibrant and strong. And here is the fun thing. We each get to define what that looks like for ourselves. So what does it look like for you? What does it feel like for you? Keep these questions in mind as you listen along, because we are going to define all of that. And I think what I'm going to share might really blow your mind. So I know that you can have it all. And while a piece of this is our mindset, I have discovered that there are steps that we can take to really anchor into this feeling of vibrancy. And it's not going to look the same for all of us. As a woman in her mid 40s, that's right, like many, or maybe even all of you, my relationship with my body has ranged from rageful and punishing, which is where I spent way too much time, to ambivalent, which sadly felt like an upgrade, to now reverence. I love this quote from Louise Hay. You have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. How delicious does that feel? I have learned through my own thorough research that as much as we try, we can't hate ourselves into the person we want to be. We have to love ourselves into her or him, because I know there are some men that listen to this as well. We can't hate ourselves into the person we want to be. We have to love ourselves into them. And that might make your eyes roll, or that might feel like a big breath of fresh air. We really have the power to find the very specific things that are going to make us feel our best. And when we feel our best, we look our best. And partially that is because of the attitude that we are exuding, right? When you feel confident, you walk in a room, you light it up. It really doesn't even matter what you look like. It really is so much of that confidence of feeling good. But partially it is because we are making choices that make our body and our skin look better. So, I love data and biohacking, and I am not immune to a quick fix or a smart marketing campaign. So, I have fallen into the trap of a lot of things. And one of those was Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Body. Now, I'm saying I fell into it because that is some very smart marketing that he has there. But actually, what he shares in his book is so much data and so much research. It's actually really interesting and a little bit extreme. But the biggest takeaway that I got from that book, and this really sticks with me, and I think you're going to find it super interesting too, is that most quote unquote successful business professionals tend to not be successful in the area of managing their weight and health. And the majority of his data is actually with men. It's not just women, it's both men and women. The most successful business professionals tend to not be successful in this area, and it makes them not feel as good about all of their other accomplishments. So think about that for a minute. If you have everything going right in your life, your career is going great and your relationships are going great and you've gotten your house organized, but you don't feel good in your body and you don't feel good about your body, it's going to cast a shadow over all of those other accomplishments. And the reason I find this super interesting is because I have certainly been there and then started to feel ashamed of like, why am I putting so much of a focus on my body and how I look when I have all these other great things going on? This is so superficial and this is so silly. And it is almost liberating to hear this data and to hear that it impacts men and women alike, that there really is something to this. When we don't feel good about how we look and we don't feel good about our bodies, we don't feel as good about all of our other accomplishments. So if you didn't need another motivator to take good care of yourself, not that any of us needs another motivator, but let this be it. So having a strong and healthy outlook coupled with a strong and healthy body really is a recipe for so much joy in our lives, which is why I want us to really dive into this and figure out what that looks like for us. I want us to feel lit up. And when we are on fire, we can go after and get anything we want. I've seen this in my own life. I've seen this with all the people who I've taught this to. I've actually run a Love Your Body workshop twice, and the impact that I've seen from that is incredible. And I'm going to be sharing all of the pieces of that workshop in this podcast episode right now. So, to start, I want us to get really curious about what it's going to look like for you as you're listening to this, because it is not going to be the same for every one of us. So, I really want you to lean in to what is going to make you personally feel good. So, what made me really dive into this now? Obviously, I shared that I've been thinking about, maybe obsessing about how I look, my body forever. And when I started my business, Grid Glam, I threw myself so much into the business that I started developing some unhealthy habits. I would stay up really late to get work done. So when I was trying to get some energy to stay up late and just keep that adrenaline going, I would eat a ton of junk food too late at night. So I was eating badly. I was not getting enough sleep. And I started putting on weight. I was really not looking my best. And it impacted my mood. It impacted my desire to be out and about. And a big part of what I do is showing up on camera. And I really didn't want to be filmed. I had a couple opportunities to be on TV. I did say yes to them, but I had this feeling in not, I was going to say in the back of my mind, really in the front of my mind of like, I don't look how I want to look. I don't feel like how I look reflects what I want to put out in the world. And so it really impacted everything. And I felt that it started to hold me back in my business because I would really start thinking twice about being on stages, being in front of the camera. It was more than just like getting me down. It was really starting to impact some of the business choices that I was making. And I did not want that anymore. So I spent some time experimenting. That's when I bought Tim Ferriss's book. And I figured out the biggest pillars that I need to focus on to feel my best. And I know that it is always helpful to get ideas. So I'm going to share my exact pillars for good health. But this episode is really meant to empower you to find joy with your body and figure out what self-care looks like for your body so that you can figure out what you need to do to love your body. So I'm going to share mine. I'm going to go into detail about why they are important. And if they resonate with you, feel free to take them on. And if they don't, use this as an opportunity to figure out for yourself what you need to look and feel your best. So my pillars are water, exercise, sleep, healthy eating, sex, and beauty appointments. 6 pillars. So here's my reality. I used to enjoy staying up late, like anyone. I love to eat donuts and French fries. Those are my 2 favorite foods. I don't actually love drinking water. I would much prefer to drink Diet Coke. And you definitely know by now that I don't love to exercise. So that is who I am at my core. That really is who I am. A child that would like to do nothing productive and drink Diet Coke and eat donuts all day and not move. But more than that, there is a bigger part of me that desires feeling good, that desires getting the most out of this one life that I've been gifted, who desires looking good and feeling my best. And those desires trump the other piece of me. But if desire alone were enough, we wouldn't be having this conversation, right? We know that it is not that simple. But here is my other reality. I have suffered from migraines since I went through puberty a long, 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 long time ago. And when I don't eat healthy, I not only get in a grumpy mood, but I get migraines. And when I don't get enough sleep or move my body, or I eat too much sugar or don't have enough orgasms, I am just not living my best life. So I have had to set up really strong routines to prioritize self-care and make doing what makes me feel good the easy choice. Because if left to my own devices, I'm not going to make the right choice. So in each of these pillars, I have built in a system of accountability because without that, nothing sticks. So what does that look like in action? I'm going to share it with you. And as you're thinking of your own pillars, I want you to think about how can you build in accountability so that these new habits will actually stick for you. Okay. So pillar number 1, water. Now, I need a lot of water to feel my best. And the past couple years, I've actually had a gallon of water a day. I would realize that if I wouldn't drink that much water throughout the day, at night, I would really feel it. I would have tons of cravings. I would feel super parched. I felt like nothing would satiate me. I felt like I wouldn't get a great night's sleep. Yes, the catch 22 of that is drinking that much water does make you get up at night to pee, but your body does adjust to it. And I felt so much better. Recently, interestingly, I haven't needed as much water. And I feel proud of myself that I'm that in tune with my body at this point that I've recognized that I actually don't need that. So these days I am drinking a half a gallon of water. So in order to hold myself accountable, when I was drinking a gallon of water, I bought myself a gallon-sized water bottle that had a countdown on it as you go throughout your day. So you're like keeping yourself on track. With my half gallon bottle now, it doesn't have markers on it, but I know that I fill it up. I need to drink that entire thing throughout the day. So the water bottle is the thing that holds me accountable. When I've tried using smaller bottles and say like, I'm going to fill this up 4 times today, I just don't do it. Whereas if I have a water bottle the size that I need, I fill it up with the amount that I need and I drink it throughout the day. But here's the other thing. I mentioned earlier, I love Diet Coke. Like, I love it. I would drink it all day long. I used to. When I worked on Wall Street, instead of having coffee in the morning, I would crack open a Diet Coke at 8 a.m. and just keep drinking them throughout the day. Don't come at me. I know they're terrible for you. I know it's theoretically better for your body to drink regular soda. I don't care. I just love that taste of Diet Coke. Anyway, and guess what? Even in 2024, when we know how bad soda is for us, I still drink it, but I do not allow myself to have it until I have finished my water. As if I need more motivation to drink that Diet Coke, I've given it to myself. I have to finish that water first. So the water bottle and the fact that I have made a rule for myself, no Diet Coke until I finish the water, those 2 things keep me accountable. And like everyone, I'm always like, maybe I don't need this anymore. Maybe I'm going to just like test out what life is like if I crack open a Diet Coke at 8 a.m. I still have moments of weakness, but every time I do it, it comes back to bite me in the butt. So this really has become a non-negotiable for me. Pillar number 2 is exercise. And I read a quote once that said, I work out because I love my body, not because I hate it. Oh, so good. At the time, however, that was not my reality. But I thought, what if one day I can get there? What if one day I'm working out because I love my body, not because I'm trying to transform it? And I worked really hard to put good habits in place to change my outlook so that that would be my reality. And now it is. I have shared this before that I want to be someone who looks like they work out. And I am proud to say that out loud. So I really changed my outlook on working out. And I do it to feel good, to build muscles. And the only way that it works for me is if I do a program, I print out a calendar and check it off as I go. I've tried being more, listen to my body. What is it in the mood for this morning? It's in the mood for nothing this morning. It's in the mood to stay in bed. When I try to listen to what I feel and feel into, I know that works beautifully for some people. I feel like doing absolutely nothing. So instead, I invest in programs. This has looked different throughout the years. I've done Peloton hardcore on the floor. I am currently doing Caroline Gervan. I have done Tracy Anderson. I love the Beachbody app. Here's the thing. I have all of them because I get super bored. I do a program start to finish. And then when I'm done, if I loved that instructor, maybe I'll do another program by them, or I'll switch it up so that I don't get bored. I also know that what is realistic for me is to only work out 30 to 40 minutes, 5 days a week. If there is a program that I really want to do, but the workouts are 45 to 60 minutes, it's a no. Because maybe I'll do it for a few days, but then I will quit on myself. And that's not who I am anymore. So I will only do programs that are 30 to 40 minutes. I will only work out 5 days a week because I want to take my weekends off. So I know that I have to work out to feel good, but I have given myself parameters that are doable. And I always have a program. I mean, this is why I've built the G&G membership like it is. In every month, every boot camp, we have a checklist. We have a calendar that you can subscribe to. So it puts in every day what you need to do. We are going to be launching a reminders app where you can assign yourself the date and check it off as you go. I know that I need these things to be successful, and I know that I'm not alone. So leveraging systems like this is a way to hold ourselves accountable. I also know that I have to work out first thing in the morning, because if I don't, I will find literally any excuse throughout the day to not work out. It's that simple. I have to get up early and I have to do it first thing. So I will often fill up my water bottle the night before. I will lay out my workout clothes. I also did something for myself, which I thought was super helpful. I have like sensory issues. I don't like wearing anything, clothing or workout clothes that are like pinchy anywhere. So I swapped out all of my workout clothes. I got like 5 of the same Viore sports bras. I took out the pads because those are so annoying. 5 of the same Viore tank tops. They're so soft, all black. And 5 of the same pair of Nike leggings that are like super thin and stretchy. Yes, we do laundry, but I don't want to have to do it. So I have all of these sets. They're all exactly the same. Lay them out the night before, fill up my water the night before, make sure that my alarm is set. I often will have to work backwards from what I have in the morning. I'll pretty much get up at the same time every day, but making sure that I have this routine in place and a program that is going to keep me accountable is essential. And I don't wait until I feel like it, because I never feel like it. And you have to pick your hard. Being in a body that you don't feel your best in, having to say no to work opportunities is hard. Waking up early, working out 5 days a week is hard. Pick your hard. This is not a choice between what's the easy thing to do. It's which hard am I willing to choose for the outcome that I really want to get. And this is one of the hardest things about being an adult. We want there to be a hard choice and an easy choice, but it's often picking between 2 hard choices to get to the outcome that we want. So pick your hard. If you need support on this, go back and listen to episode 1, where I talk all about my philosophy on do it anyway and how we can't wait until we're in the mood. And that has really transformed my ability to pick the hard that is going to get me where I want to go, instead of the hard that actually in the moment feels easy, right? Of course, it feels easier to stay in bed all day and not get up, but ultimately you don't feel good. Now, I want to be transparent about this, that literally every morning when my alarm goes off, I still debate with myself of like, should I get up? Should I work out later? It still has not become automatic that I'm like, yay, I get to work out today. No. I heard recently Susie Moore said, we can't pick the first thought that comes into our head, but we can choose the second thought. And I think so many of us get frustrated with ourselves and we get angry because we're like, why am I even still having that first thought? I've worked so hard and I listened to Corinne's podcast and I'm doing all these things and it's still hard. Yes, you cannot choose that first thought that pops into your head, but you can then choose the second thought. So for me, I still wake up every morning a little bit grumpy that I have to get up, but my next immediate thought is, let's make this a great day. I am so lucky that I can get up and that I can work out and that I can feel good and feel strong and feel lean. So pick that second thought and make it a good one. I know that 100% of the time, I have a better day when I get up early and work out. Literally every single time. It never puts me in a worse mood to do it. So that helps me choose that better thought as my second thought. Okay. Pillar 3 for me is sleep. And 25-year-old me is so disappointed in how much sleep I now require. I used to stay up well past midnight partying, not just like up partying when I lived in New York after college. And I would set my alarm for 5:30. I'd not only get out of bed, I would walk myself to the gym. It wasn't even in my building to go work out. And I'd go work till 7, 8 o'clock, hang out after work, do it all again. I just didn't need a lot of sleep. And that is not my reality anymore. I require a lot more sleep. But I realized through this process of trying to figure out why I was not feeling my best, why I was not looking my best, that I wasn't sleeping well. It was more than just I needed to go to bed early. I needed to invest in better sleep. My face gets super puffy when I don't get enough sleep, even if I haven't been drinking or eating salt. Like, it's just one of the weird things that happens. So I am highly motivated to get a lot of sleep. So I put some serious money into getting better sleep. I put my money where my mouth is. We invested in a new mattress. I got blackout blinds. Believe it or not, I didn't have them before. I got these black stickers that you can put on any ambient light that might be in your room. So we have our security alarm system in our bedroom. I covered that up so I couldn't see any of the light. I got a sleep, what's it called? Like headband with AirPods in it. So, because when I would try to sleep with my AirPods in, like listening to some meditation, I'm a side sleeper. It'd be super uncomfortable, press into my ears. So I got this super soft headband thing that pairs with your phone so I could fall asleep listening to meditation. So I actually invested in making my room even more of a sanctuary than it also is. And I try to be super aware of making myself go to sleep early. It doesn't always happen, but if I stay up too late, I get a second wind, I get hungry, I have a snack, and I'm like ready to party. Even though at like 8 o'clock, I'm ready to go to bed. Like 11 rolls around, I am ready to party. So I can't let myself get to that second wind. I've realized if I don't eat too late, I have a better sleep. And if I get in bed before crossing over that window of my body is ready to party again, I obviously fall asleep more easily. So I invested a lot in creating an environment for good sleep, but also in making sure that I go upstairs, get in bed, hopefully not scroll on my phone for too long before going to sleep. So really making this investment in this bedroom holds me accountable. Like, I've spent a lot of money. It is time for me to make sure that it was a worthwhile investment. Okay, pillar number 4, healthy eating. So another pain point for me is that I love sweets, and I realize, though, if I eat them too early in the day, I just drag. So I definitely believe in having sweets, but I really try to save them for later in the day, preferably after dinner. And there were times when I was really going through this process, I was following more of a keto lifestyle during the day. I was not strictly keto, because if you know anything about keto, you have to like really not eat carbs and keep your body in ketosis. It wasn't for that. I just found some great keto recipes. So, and I just felt that it helped me regulate my energy and blood sugar levels. And then I'd eat sugar and carbs at night, which I know a lot of nutritionists would say not to do. And this is where I'm saying to you, biohack yourself, figure out what feels good for you. So I feel like this framework gives me the best of both worlds. I make healthy choices throughout the day to sustain my energy, but then I can indulge at the end of the day, and not in like a bingey way, because I haven't been depriving myself, in a way that feels really nourishing and fun. And in some ways, that sugar does put me in a little bit of a slump, which helps me wind down for the evening. So giving yourself a framework like this, where everything is allowed, gets you out of the cycle of shame and beating yourself up. My daughter and I always say that all food is good for you. Some is good for your body, and some is good for your soul. And I believe that that is how we live here. There are no foods that are off limits, but we do try to be mindful of what are the things that make us feel good, and what are the things that we just want to eat because, you know what, they're going to fill our soul today. And those are welcome as well. So for us, it's not about what the foods are. It's really about when are we eating them and what is the timing. So again, this is an opportunity for you to figure out what feels super nourishing in both senses of the word, right? Like what nourishes your body, but then what nourishes your soul so that you don't feel like you are depriving yourself. And what I've realized is when we hold on so tightly and we try to be so strict with ourselves and we try to hate ourselves into this person we want to be, there is always a negative consequence at the end of that where we rebel against it. You can only live like that for so long. And what we're talking about today are lifelong habits that we can put in place that obviously will evolve with us over time as our bodies evolve and our needs change and our hormones change. I mean, friends, so much happens as we age. But ultimately, I want us to be thinking about this, or like, what are lifelong habits that we can introduce? Speaking of lifelong habits, let's talk about pillar 5, which is sex. Let's talk about sex, baby. Okay. Having a robust sex life makes me feel my best. I bet it does for you as well, but I know we are all different. And we are going to have a more in-depth episode about this topic coming up soon. So not only does sex make me feel my best, it is fun. And it is a great way to connect with my hubby, who I adore. And I know for many people, there is a lot of shame around this because of conditioning, because of religion. Yet another reason I am very happy that I was raised Jewish, because there is not only no shame around it, a healthy sex life is really part of a healthy life in our worldview. But I know that's not the case for everyone. And I think if this is you and you are coming from a background where there is trauma or there is shame, it is really worthwhile trying to do some work around that, because everything is normal. And I want you to have fun with this. I want you to explore. I want you to really enjoy this piece of you. Having orgasms is such an incredible release in your body, a release of tension. And it's such a great way to connect with your body, to connect with your partner. So for me, this is a big one. So what are my accountability pieces, you might be asking? Well, I have a big one. It's about a bean jar, but I'm actually not going to be talking about it in this episode. I'm going to be sharing about it in next week's episode. So you'll have to tune back in next week to hear about this. But suffice to say, we have a system in place that holds us accountable. The other thing that my hubby and I do is we make sure that at least once a month, we do a date night. I'm also going to share more about that in the next episode. And if you've been in my world for a little while, you know that I love listening to, we'll call them romance novels, although I really think that we should just call them erotica, which is what they are. And they put you in the mood. If you're tired and you're stressed and you're just like not feeling it, listen to a romance novel, and it might just get the metaphorical, but also the literal juices flowing. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we're going to dive much more into all of this actually in next week's episode. But there are ways that you can build in more fun, more accountability, more structure into your sex life as well. Okay, the final pillar is beauty treatments. And I invest in my beauty appointments because it is fun and it makes me feel my best. I love to get regular blowouts. I get my nails done every 2 weeks. I get my lashes done every couple weeks. So I have these self-care habits built in because I feel better when I have my hair and lashes and nails done. And when we feel good, we show up differently. So I don't really need anything to hold me accountable in this area. But the one thing that I do is I never leave an appointment without having booked the next one, so that I just know that I am carving out the time in my calendar to make sure that they happen. Because just wanting to do it for those of us that are super busy is not enough. We have to carve out the time, that it could be a whole thing. How are you going to fit it in? How are you going to organize it? So I always schedule at least one. For my lashes, we schedule like 5 appointments out at a time. So I will have like months of appointments in my calendar, and it helps me to make sure I prioritize it. So if beauty treatments are a thing for you, or you'd like them to be a thing for you, maybe start with one. Maybe you want to get a weekly blowout. Schedule one a week for the next month. Make it a non-negotiable and see how good you feel every time you have that blowout. You just get a new pep in your step. So those are my pillars, friends. And I use these to live the motto that I'm too hot to be a hot mess. And all of these things factor into it. So I hope you feel super inspired to go figure out what your pillars are for you. So the big takeaways from today's episode are: you can't hate yourself into the person you want to be. You have to love yourself into her. Figure out what pillars work for you. I have 6. Maybe for you, it'll be 3. I would suggest not doing too many more than 6 because then it can be hard to prioritize them. But figure out what pillars work for you. You have to pick your hard. We cannot wait for it to start to feel easier. We have to pick our hard. Accountability is a must. If desire alone were enough, we would all be where we want to be. So you have to build in some type of structure and accountability into each of your pillars. And finally, you deserve to be hot and to feel hot. So I am going to drop my Love Your Body journal in the show notes of this episode. So if you go to gridandglam.com/blog/episode 13, this is episode 13, you can get your hands on my Love Your Body journal, which will help you define some of these pillars for yourself. There's some great questions in there that you can ask yourself. And I also want to remind you about my Get Organized for Good workshops happening on May 20th and May 21st. I will also drop the workshop registration in the show notes, or you can go directly to gridandglam.com/workshop. It's going to be so fun to see your cute face on the workshop. You get to hear me, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you get to see me. But in that workshop, I will get to see you as well. And I can't wait. And make sure you turn into next week's episode, because I'm going to be sharing how you can date your spouse and how to create a relationship routine that is anything but. I will see you then. Have an amazing day.